I actually went and spoke to someone, funny enough, someone in football. And I said to him, I'm struggling, like really struggling. You know, if I don't speak to you, I feel like I won't be here this time next week.
Firstly, thank you so much for joining me and chatting to me.
Thank you. My pleasure.
So I'm really excited to chat to you because I feel like you come from a unique perspective.
Yeah.
And like we were talking about the Attitude Awards when you walked in, you're like, you know, I managed to like get an invite.
Yeah.
And I feel like you're even impressed with people's interest in you.
Yeah.
And I suppose from speaking my perspective, my interest is that you are a gay man who works in such a predominantly straight world around predominantly straight people.
Yeah.
And football has always been something where the stereotype is that gay men don't like football.
Yeah.
Like that has been the stereotype since I can remember. So I suppose my first question to you is does that stereotype annoy you? Because I suppose it's not entirely true.
Well, but it's also true.
It is also true. But
this is the weird thing.
But you're living proof, like
yeah,
gay men can love and live and breathe football.
Yeah, but also I came out on September the 1st, 2014, publicly. You know, my friends and family knew many years before that, but that was the point where I got to in that summer and I said, right, I'm cool with telling people who I am. And I feel that this is the right thing to do for me and for the industry and for other gay men and so on and so forth. And here we are 10 years later, and guess how many other openly gay male broadcasters there are in this industry?
I don't know.
Well, none.
Yeah,
me.
None. That's crazy.
So what does that tell you about the progress that's been made?
Yeah.
None. What does that tell you about how many other gay people are comfortable coming out? What does it tell you about the industry that we work in? So yeah, whilst I love football and I'm in this game, I still feel very alone doing what I do. One of the questions I got posed, and I get posed it all the time, not so much recently, but back then was how long would it be before we see an openly gay professional footballer? And I said it would be 5 to 10 years. And they said, well, what, 5 to 10 years? You know, this is 2014. Why wouldn't there be an openly gay footballer sooner? I said, I just don't think the industry's ready. I don't think the game is ready yet, or in the right place, or the fan bases, or the commercial deals, whatever you want to say is the excuse or the reason. And obviously 2 years ago, we had young Jake Daniels come out, who was 17. He was an academy player. He wasn't playing in a first team. He's still not playing in a first team. I know he's had a loan spell and he's just working his way through the system. But outside of Jake, we still don't really have an openly professional male footballer playing regularly week in, week out within the top 4, 5, 6 divisions of professional football. So it feels like a lonely place still.
Yeah.
I still feel like the kind of boundaries I pushed down many years ago it hasn't really done anything for anyone. Like there may be a few openly gay people. I know there are people working behind the scenes at football clubs in media departments and, you know, in back rooms and analysts and coaches and sports science, but it still doesn't feel like there's a lot of people, despite it being over 10 years last week that I came out publicly.
So I've got so many questions all of a sudden. So, right. There's so much speculation over when's the gay footballer going to come out, or like, you know, as you're saying, like more people in the industry who are openly gay, as even like pundits or whatever. Could it be that there just aren't like that many gay footballers? Could it be that it does not attract gay men to go into that profession? Or would your perspective be, no, there definitely is. It's just an issue around feeling comfortable enough to come out. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think it's a comfort thing. You know, and I can only talk from myself in terms of how I felt. I was really uncomfortable for the first 7 or 8 years of my TV career about who I was, and I hid it, and I kept my life very clearly in 2 boxes. There was me being gay, happy and comfortable, and there was me at work. And I always felt like I couldn't tell my bosses. I couldn't be open with who I was. I'd be worried about reaction from the players and the fans and going to games and so on and so forth. So I kept that side of my life very quiet and very for me. And then as I got older and I stopped caring about what people thought, and I also got to a point, there were a couple of things that happened, and I was like, you know what? I kind of just need to come out. I think that might be better for me, and it might be better for the industry. And one day there'll be someone that says, oh, Mark McAdam came out and it really helped me accept myself. And I was in a really dark place at times, and I really struggled with my mental health. And when you get, and I didn't do it, I did it for myself. I came out for myself. But when you get those letters and emails from people that say, you've really helped me, you've really made me feel comfortable, that's where you sit back and go, oh, it was worth it. You know, it was worth it. And by the way, there was nothing to worry about because it was totally fine when I came out, you know.
So do you have people in the industry actually like pulling you to one side on like a sort of social or something, going, I'm struggling with this? Obviously, we're not going to name names. I'm just saying, like, do people reach out to you directly?
They have done in the past, yeah. There has been a number of people that have spoken to me about their sexuality and about how they feel and what to do and what's right and what's wrong. And everyone has that internal conflict about what is the right thing to do and how is it going to affect me moving forward. So I think you constantly get those conversations. Less of them happen now because, again, all right, yeah, we are 10 years down the line and things are very different now, and you can come out and it is less of a big deal in the industry, but it is still a thing. Until there are multiple gay out players at various levels of the footballing pyramid, it will still be a thing.
Yeah.
You know?
And is there any sort of internal LGBT club or like, you know, at Sky or at FIFA or whatever like that, where people that work in the industry, regardless of whether you're a player or, you know, even a cleaner and the changing rooms, I just mean, is there any sort of internal system for people to come together?
There is a Sky LGBTQ plus network, where, funny enough, that's been launched only in the last year or so, where I've actually discovered some of the people I worked with regularly found out, oh, I didn't know you were gay, or I didn't know you were a lesbian. I didn't know. So, you know, Sky has put things in place to try and build a community to make people feel accepted. And as you know, this community is growing. It's not just LGBT anymore. There are people that are non-binary. There are people that are transgender. There are people that identify in different ways. And there are other things that are less obvious through appearance, about how you might identify yourself. So yeah, there is a network there. One of the great things, and I do genuinely love this, there are, and I don't know the exact numbers because they do change quite regularly, but there are a number of LGBT fan groups associated with each football club.
Oh, really?
So there's the gay Gooners. There's
What's a Gooner?
An Arsenal fan.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah, you should know this. Come on.
Why would I know that?
Because your dad is a Spurs
Tottenham fan,
so he will know what a Gooner is.
Okay,
you know?
I've never heard of.
He won't like the Gooners, but the Proud Lily-Whites is one of the oldest, which is the Tottenham LGBT.
Oh, is it? Oh,
fan group. So yeah, they're one of the most established and have been going for over 10 years, I think now. So they are a fans group set up by fans for LGBTQ plus fans that go to football, and you can just be in that group. And they meet before matches. The West Ham one, I took Tom Allen to meet the West Ham Proud Irons group, who all meet in a pub by the stadium before games, and they chat and so on and so forth and go to the game together. And I took him to meet them when I took him to football. Right. And and it's amazing. But these groups exist around the country. And there are little pockets of fan groups. I think out of the 92 clubs in the Premier League and the Football League, there are something like 60, 70 of these fan groups attached to the clubs. Yeah. Now, sometimes they may only be small groups of 10, 15, 20 people, but there's still people that all love the game that can come together and feel comfortable being with like-minded people.
Yeah. I mean, that's awesome to hear.
Yeah.
That exists amongst the fans.
Yeah.
Not so awesome to hear that inside the industry, it's still very difficult for people to be open about their sexuality.
But it goes back to the question you say, is this because there isn't gay men playing football, working in football, or is it because there are gay men that still aren't comfortable coming out?
Totally.
And that's the big question ultimately, I guess.
So what would it do to the industry if a extremely well-known Premier League player at the height of his career came out as gay? In your opinion, what do you think the ripple effect of that would be?
Well, I think it would revolutionise the industry again, more so than Josh Cavallo or Jake Daniels, who have been really brave to do what they've done, and again they've changed things. I guess what it will do is it will stop it becoming a thing. I think the more people that come out, the more this is not a conversation. It becomes like, oh, okay, what, another one's come out. Okay, cool. All right, it's been done before, and we don't really care, and everyone just gets on with it. And I think the acid test will be those people that come out at the highest level, how they're respected and treated by fans, how they're respected and treated by, 10,000 people in one stand, and those kind of situations will be where you really see how much or how little progress has been made within this game. Now, I know that there has been progress made, and I've seen it with Rainbow Laces. I've seen it with what Sky Sports has done. I've seen it with what football clubs have done. The awareness that they've raised, the profile of the WSL, the women's game, where kind of LGBT thing is not a thing. There are multiple out females playing at the very highest level. Not a big deal, not a problem, not even spoken about really, apart from once a year Rainbow Laces, and then someone will say, oh yeah, I'm a lesbian and this is my partner, and so on and so on. So I think when we get to that space, that's when it will stop becoming an issue. But I think commercially, the biggest sponsors in the game are ready and willing to get involved. You saw with Jake Daniels, Adidas were really quick to say, we want to back you and support you. We want to be a part of your journey and show our faith in LGBTQ plus sports people and footballers. I think the clubs are ready. I think the commercial industry is ready. I think fan bases are pretty much ready. It's just when you get those people that say, hey, this is who I am and I'm cool with that.
So what's stopping people? Let's imagine there are lots of gay footballers. What is stopping people from coming out?
Yeah, it's difficult for me to answer that question because I don't know. I can only assume it will be social media, as we see with black players. They get abused on social media. Gay players will probably get abused on social media.
Yeah.
What level that is, we don't know because we haven't seen it. But that will be a thing. I guess a reaction from teammates. Are adult male footballers comfortable with getting naked in front of a gay man? You're genuinely cool with having a teammate that's gay. Obviously, other elements of the club, the coaching staff, the people, there may be some fear there that, I don't know if I can be myself and be comfortable.
Am I right in thinking that, I haven't seen enough football games to know this, but I do think I'm right, that people shout things at players when they're playing?
Oh, of course they do.
So I guess part of the fear is having like faggot or something when they've got the ball if they're on the opposing side.
Completely. Yeah,
that would be horrible.
Oh, that'd be horrendous. Awful. That would be horrendous. But it's one of those things. That the opposing players get shouted at, regardless of their sexuality. Just anything to berate the opposition and make them feel shit when they're in that environment, because you want your team to win so badly. You think that by shouting abuse at someone is going to make them weaker and underperform. Then you'll do it.
Yeah.
But hopefully the industry and football fans are educated enough on the biggest scale. 99.9% of the fans, I think, would probably be educated enough to know that actually the F word is not something you can shout in a football ground. The same way you can't shout the N word.
Yeah.
The same way you can't be sexist to women. Like, kind of, it's 2024, guys. This stuff isn't really acceptable. So, fingers crossed. But again, it would be, if Jake progresses and plays first team football, is he going to suffer that abuse? Hopefully not. Or if someone in the Premier League comes out, we don't know.
Yeah,
we don't know. And I guess it's that fear that exists within these footballers, where they go, I don't want to be the one that tries all this stuff.
Totally, because because it's a first. Obviously, like, there've been junior players that have done it, but the ripple effect has not been as much as it would be for these like massively high profile people.
Yeah.
So I listened to an interview with Colton Underwood, who is an ex-American footballer. I think, might have got that wrong, so if I do, I'm going to edit that out. But he's a sports person in the US, and he came out as gay later in life. He's got a Netflix show called Coming Out Colton. If you haven't seen it, you should watch it. It's really interesting about like a player that came out and his feelings. So I'm just with you. I want to imagine like the internal struggle of like an in the closet footballer, because that's what he experienced. And he said actually like it was extremely difficult to be in locker rooms from a sort of sexual arousal perspective. He was like, they're very gay in the locker rooms. Like, he was like, it was felt like a homoerotic like place to be. So he had a big struggle even just like being around his teammates, because at the same time he was like, I'm a gay man being like taunted in these ways. Like, do you think that's true? Do you think there is any sort of like homoeroticism amongst footballers? And
I don't know if that exists in modern football.
No, okay.
Maybe 20 years ago,
there
would have been a lot more openness in this way. I think now it's even a thing now in football that a lot of footballers get showered with their sloggies on, which is basically their pants.
Right.
So they don't even actually. There are a lot of footballers that don't get naked now in a dressing room.
Right. Okay.
I think the culture has shifted and changed so much that I don't know if that space is that way. I don't know because I'm not in that space and I haven't seen it. And I haven't asked those questions to those people that are in that space.
Yeah.
Back in my day, if you went in the shower with your pants on, people would take the piss out of you.
Yeah.
What are you fucking doing?
Yeah.
Whereas now it's quite common. I think there are the majority of players probably get showered with their pants on. So maybe it's a very different space now.
Yeah. So if we look at like uni, so I went to like quite a raw uni, if you know what that means. It's like
Raw.
It's like a
Lady Gaga.
It's like a southern word for posh.
Oh, okay.
So I'm from Manchester, so I
Okay.
adopted this word because I went to Bristol University. So it was full of like rugby boys who were
Okay.
like rah rah rah, and the culture there amongst these sports teams was extremely like gay. Like, you know, I was in the closet at uni and found it very challenging actually because these like rugby lads for initiations were like doing something called the elephant walk, which is where they all get naked, they grab each other's cocks and they walk up the tallest hill in Bristol. You know, and they call it the elephant walk. It's something they joke. And, you know, like part of the initiations are like doing sexual acts to each other and
like a fraternity thing.
Exactly.
Oh,
so
right.
There's like a lot of this that goes on, which I think from like a gay person looking in on it, like, I don't know what your experience of like sort of boyish lad culture is, but have you observed that as well?
Not really. So I had a really tough time when I was growing up at school. So from 11 to 16, didn't really have any friends. So I was bullied really heavily. And I wasn't in a gang. I didn't have mates. I was just on the outside of my school classroom.
Yeah.
That group of people that I went to school with. So I never had the opportunity to have a real childhood and witness those banter sessions and those fraternities and those male bonding things and those kind of teenage hijinks that you perhaps have mentioned there. When I was at Bournemouth, I think there was, if you were on the losing team of a training session, you used to have to run around the pitch naked afterwards.
That's quite soft, isn't it?
Yeah, but then everyone just put their hand over their crotch and ran around and went back in. That was kind of it. But
yeah,
or you get naked and they spray you with the hose up against the wall. I'm sure there was different things in every football club that was almost wasn't like a homosexual thing. It was just let's embarrass these players because they played badly in training and let's make them look stupid.
Yeah,
as
right.
opposed to anything else. But some of the stuff you've mentioned there, the elephant walk, that's news to me.
I nearly joined the rugby team just so I could do the elephant
I can
walk.
imagine that. Yeah.
So talking about coming out in general, how was your coming out experience? You said it was 10 years ago. Or is that publicly?
Yep. 10 years ago publicly.
Okay.
So I got to a point in my life where I was like, look, there was a few things that had happened at work and I was like, right, maybe I should come out. It was not long after Tom Daley had come out and I thought, well, if this 18-year-old kid can come out and be loved, then, I can. And I kind of thought, well, look, the industry needs people to start knocking down barriers. Otherwise, when is something going to change?
Mm.
So I had someone contact me and said, would you be interested in talking about your sexuality for a magazine? And I was like, yeah, cool. And they were like, will you do a photo shoot? And I was like, well, if I'm going to do it, I just need to do it and get on with it. Not do it half-heartedly.
Yeah.
So I did it. And, I think there were people at work that were cool with it and there were people that weren't cool with it with regards to my bosses. I think Sky's a very different place now. The boss is now far more aware and understanding. And if people were to come out now, my colleagues, it would be a very different environment to what it was for me back then. And back then it was like, well, let's just not talk about it. You can come out, but, we don't need to do any interviews. We don't need to do any extra. We don't need to do anything. It doesn't matter. It's your sexuality and people shouldn't care. Whereas I was kind of like, well, no, I kind of want to talk about it because it's important for me that there are people that see me and I am a visible man working in this industry. But generally, I think it was kind of cool. I had one comment on Twitter from some kid who called me a faggot, and that was it. And I expected more. I expected more abuse. I expected to go to games. I expected fans to say stuff. I expected to be really challenged in a negative way and made to feel inadequate.
Yeah, right.
But I wasn't. It just wasn't a thing.
Mm.
I think there was maybe one person in my life that was not comfortable with it. And then we never spoke again. He was older. He was a guy that was more of a mentor than he was a friend. He was a mentor in football. And that was it. And then I just got on with my life.
Yeah. So what was this article? Was it I did see there was an article that you did, but what was the one that you're talking about? This like coming out article with the photos?
So I did a photo shoot and a spread, or whatever you want to call it. Not me, the magazine spread.
Yeah.
I wasn't spreading
what
anything.
Sort of photo shoot? What was the magazine?
Gay Times.
Gay Times. Yeah, I thought it was that one.
Yeah. So and then it was out there, and then obviously then you're kind of welcomed into that environment, and you get invited to Attitude Awards, and you get to meet people, and you make new friends, which you wouldn't have otherwise done. Which was amazing. So,
were you bricking it before it went live? What were your feelings?
Do you know what? It was funny because, and this is what happened. So I knew it was going live on the 1st of September.
Right.
And on the 31st of August, we had what is called Deadline Day, which is a massive, great big deal of a day. It's where clubs have their last opportunity to transfer players in and out. So they buy players, sell players. Big day. Sky Sports News' biggest day of the year. They get two, one at the end of January, one at the end of August, where they get millions and millions of viewers, and it's a big deal. And you're on screen from 6 a.m. to midnight, and you are doing the biggest shift you've ever done. You've got millions of people watching, all desperate to know what's happening with the club that you're at. So I was kind of so consumed with that day that I didn't really think too much about, tomorrow's the big day where, everything's happening. So I got to the end of the day, and my last live was at like 11:40. And what happened was a load of fans used to be behind. They'd all gather at the training ground because they were all desperate to see the new players and see what was going on and be on telly and so on and so forth. So I get to the end of the bit, and they throw to me, so what's been happening at Aston Villa, the club that I was at, and it promised to be a busy day, blah, blah, blah. Nothing's really happening. And then someone shouts, "Fuck her in the pussy," which was this big thing that people were doing to live reporters and presenters out on the road.
Okay.
And then at that moment, someone chucks this blow-up doll at me, right? A full inflated blow-up doll.
Yeah.
That gets chucked at me and hits the back of my head. And suddenly, like, that became, and also, by the way, that was the Deadline Day where I only won second prize for best sex toy of the day because someone got a purple dildo in their ear during the broadcast as well.
Jesus God.
So this was a bit of a crazy day, I'm not going to lie. It's a very famous day for football fans, not such a fond day for Sky Sports News.
Yeah.
So one of my colleagues got a purple dildo and I got a blow-up doll. So the whole rest of the night was all about, oh my God, the dildo, the blow-up doll, did you see this, blah, blah, blah. So I suddenly stopped thinking about, oh my God, today I'm going to come out. All over social media for the whole of the 48 hours before I came out was me with the blow-up doll. And then the next day, I was at home, tired, weary, the end of a really busy period, and then my phone just started lighting up.
Yeah,
and that's when Gay Times put the social media articles out and the website articles out, and then suddenly it was a thing, and then there was loads of people contacting me, and then it just kind of spins from that moment where you're kind of on this massive high, you come down from that, and suddenly you're back in this space again where everything's out there. And then that first moment where the article's there on social media and you're looking at it and your heart sinks and you get the butterflies in your stomach and you're like, oh my God, here we go, this is it. And then you go from there.
And then it was just like immediate relief the first day back at work.
Yeah, it's relief. I think the best thing was I remember people were just taking the piss out of me, which was kind of cool. I liked that. And they were talking about the photographs and they were talking about the magazine and so on and so forth. And
can you give me an example of like something they would say as like a banter towards?
I remember one of the other reporters came up to me and he was doing the poses that I was doing in the photo shoot, which I thought was really funny.
Yeah.
And I had loads of lovely messages and people were kind of saying, I don't know if I need to message you, but congratulations and I love you anyway. But yeah, I don't know what to do. I don't know how to react, but you know, happy coming out or, you know, whatever. It was like
And
a
that's
thing.
very sweet coming from probably like lots of people that wouldn't have been exposed to that many close friends coming out before. So
Yeah.
for them to reach out and put something together
Yeah,
is a nice
especially in this
sense.
environment, especially in
Yeah.
this football environment, because there were no other openly gay football presenters or reporters at Sky.
Yeah.
Sky had never had an openly gay football
So Sky
reporter.
didn't know until the article got released.
So they knew a little bit before.
Okay, right.
So they had I went and spoke to the boss and said, "Oh, just so you know, I'm gay." And there were people at work that didn't really like it, and there were most of the people that were really cool with it. So, but I think that's like for anyone in life. There are people that have a problem with you being gay, and there are people that don't. And luckily, the majority are the ones that don't have any issues.
Yeah. Well, I guess 10 years ago that would have even been more so.
Yeah, it was a big thing back then.
Yeah, it was
you know,
a big thing. Yeah.
It's still a big thing now, but it's less of a thing. But back then, in this industry, in this environment, in this, you know, masculine football space,
Yeah.
there was very few other gay men. In fact, I just couldn't think of any. You know, I really struggled to find any to talk to about this. So it was, it just was a big thing back then.
So what were your like memories of being in the closet?
Tough. Yeah, really tough. Really, really hard. And yeah, it's the weird thing about coming out is you never come out once. You're always coming out for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
Especially in my industry. Because I meet people and I meet players and I meet managers, and even now, you know, you have that moment where someone you may have known for years and years and years, and they don't know you're gay because they didn't read Gay Times or they didn't look at social media or they never had that conversation. But they'll say, "Oh, did you have a good summer? What did you get up to? Were you away with the kids, wife, blah, blah." And you always have that moment. You're like, "Oh, here we go again. What do I say here? Do I come out, or do I just say, oh no, I'm single," or whatever?
What do you say?
It depends on who it is. Most of the time I'll say, "Oh, funny enough, no kids. I'm actually gay, so yeah, I don't have a wife." But you know, and do that. But occasionally you just go, "Oh, do you know what? Just let's just."
And is there
move on.
reaction? So this frequent coming out thing applies to so many gay men.
Yeah.
But you actually represent the top of the pyramid of someone that has to come out so regularly because you work in such a straight world.
Yeah.
It's not like all these other industries that really do have a lot of gay people in them.
Yeah.
So I suppose, what is the reaction from people when you have to correct them? Typically,
most of the time there's like that moment of awkwardness, and then you just move on.
And do you feel a shift in the energy then?
Sometimes you can with certain people.
Like they kind of don't know what to say next.
Yeah.
They kind of walk off.
Yeah. Sometimes you can sense their insecurities coming out and their fear, and they're like, "Oh, you know, this is a thing."
Yeah.
And sometimes people just don't really care. "Oh, I've got a mate who's gay, or my brother's gay, or my cousin's gay." Or, you know, it's less of a thing, isn't it? There are more people out there that are themselves. So you know, I'd say everyone now knows someone who's gay, or has got a family member who's gay, or has got friends that are gay, or girlfriends' friends are gay. It's less of a thing.
So when I'm around straight guys, sometimes they slip up and they say things. They don't know I'm gay. I overhear things that I shouldn't hear.
Yeah.
I'm gonna presume you also maybe hear things that you don't like. You know, maybe you more amongst fans than you would amongst people in the industry. So do you ever find that you've heard something and you've had to correct someone?
I do remember going to a game, big game, as an away fan. I went to watch a mate of mine. It was a big game, and I walked into the away end because that's where he got me a ticket. And I was there within a minute, and someone really close to me, within a meter or so, was shouting at one of the other players and calling him a faggot. And I was like, "Oh my God," like, but like, horrific word. And I don't like that word myself because that was what I got called as a kid. So that's the one word that kind of really resonates with me when it hurts.
Yeah.
And then I'm like in that space where I'm like, well, what do I do? You know, do I say something to a steward? Do I call him up? Or do I just accept that some people are fucking idiots and they're going to use language that's not really acceptable in this day and age? And I just watched the game and enjoyed it for what it was. And it's just part of the atmosphere and part of the moment, part of what was going on. It's not right, but it's just the way some people are.
Yeah. But I mean, it's a good insight to hear. That's a shit example. I'm not saying that's a good insight. I'm saying it's good that you don't have many examples of that.
No, yeah, really,
You don't
really,
overhear people going, "Oh, shut up, that's gay, mate," or like, "Oh, you fag," or like that's not like
not really.
a frequent
No,
thing that you hear.
no, no. I don't. I have to be honest. I don't go to football. I'm not in and around these environments where I hear unacceptable language being used. So is that education? Is that awareness? Is that cultures? Whatever it is, it's not what, you know. I've never been in that experience, so I can only say it's been really positive.
Right at the start of the interview, you said that sometimes it can be quite lonely.
Yeah.
So can you elaborate? What do you mean? Do you kind of wish that you had other gay colleagues that you could talk about like men and talk about like other like non-straight things? Do you know what I mean? I don't know, like talk about the attitude awards.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess it would make you feel less of a thing. It was funny actually because I saw an interview with Rosie Jones the other day, and she was saying, you know, we need more disabled people in the industry, in the media, because then I can go and take a fucking holiday. Again, yeah, and that made me laugh because again, yeah, I love Rosie, by the way. I did a show with her a few years ago and absolutely adore her. But she gets put out there as a disabled comedian, as a disabled entertainer a lot. And she, you know, and obviously if there were more people out there, not just one. And the same for me. Yes, you are at Rainbow Laces. You do get the phone calls. Can you do this? Can you do this interview? Can you come here? Can you talk about this? You do feel like, you know, I don't represent the whole LGBTQ plus community. I represent myself. All right, I have an opinion as a gay man, but it doesn't necessarily reflect the opinion of every gay man. So yeah, it would be cool to have more gay people. Not because I want to ask them about, you know, Series 6 of RuPaul and, oh, have you seen that queen? How does she make it? Like,
yeah,
I guess the chat would probably still be about football. You'd just be having that conversation with someone who was openly gay. So you'd feel that connection perhaps that you don't with a straight person. But I don't, yeah, again, my sexuality, again, it's not really a thing. When people talk about me, you know, and I say this to the bosses quite a lot, your commitment to the LGBT community is not me doing a piece for Rainbow Laces. It's me being myself, doing Soccer Saturday, talking about football, me doing Good Morning Sports Fans, me doing Sky Sports News, me just doing me as me, regardless of me talking about being gay, just being a gay man working in this industry who understands it and talks about it and loves it the same as everyone else. That's your commitment. It's not about putting someone there at the moment that it feels right. It's about me just getting on with my job 365 days a year. And all right, yeah, there is a 2-week spell where we talk about LGBTQ plus issues in football and sport. But outside of that, that's your commitment to this industry and to me and to my community.
And in a sense, you're breaking stereotypes just by turning up to work. And being one of the lineup of the presenters, you are showing visibility for gay men and, in a sense, kind of showing people that, you know, we're in every industry.
And that actually was one of the key things. Now, 3 years ago, I took Tom Allen to a game and he appeared on Soccer Saturday. And I took Tom Allen along to watch a game with me at Charlton. And afterwards, it went viral and it was a big deal and he was trending and people from all over the world were watching Tom Allen on Soccer Saturday. And I remember some of the comments saying, oh, you're just taking the piss out of the stereotype, you know, gay guy that doesn't know anything about football, Tom Allen, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, no. We're both gay. This is the great thing about this.
Yeah.
We are both gay and we are both enjoying the football in a completely different way. But this isn't about taking the piss out of someone who's camp. This is about showing that different people can love football and we can enjoy it and it's about fun. And I still look at the clips from back then and I love it. And it was such a special day and it was so brilliant. But it was one of those things and I took a great delight in replying to some of those people and saying, funny enough, we're both gay and we both enjoyed the game in our own different, unique way. And that's what this is about. Football is not just for straight people. It's not just for a certain type of macho men. Anyone can enjoy it and love it and be a part of it. And that's what football's about. Regardless of your skin color, your religion, your upbringing, your sexuality, football and sport is for everyone.
So in your personal life, do you have a lot of gay friends? Do you like go to like gay bars and nights out, or
Yeah,
do you not have much space for all
Do you
of
know
that?
what? I am the worst gay in that respect. I don't I'm teetotal, so I don't drink alcohol. I haven't done for over 20 years.
Mhm.
You like occasionally I have a shot or something, but so that sort of tells you a little bit about my lack of Friday and Saturday night activity. You know, Friday nights I'm sat at home doing my stats, ready for soccer Saturday on a Saturday. Saturday night I'm knackered, so I go home and go to sleep.
Yeah.
So I'm not really a party animal. You know, I don't really do those spaces. That said, two of my best friends, one of them no longer with us sadly, used to own a show bar in Gran Canaria.
Hmm.
So I would go out there maybe 3 or 4 or 5 times a year for 10 years. A, to see my friends, B, to get some sun. And I'd spend every evening sat in the corner of the bar watching the show, watching drag queens.
Yeah.
So it's weird. Like, I guess, yeah, so I have gay friends, I have LGBTQ plus friends, I have footy friends, and I'm very blessed to have lots of friends and acquaintances and people I work with at Sky. And there is a big mix of, you know, someone that drags up, you know, 5 times a week to someone that talks and goes on air and has played football professionally. So I have a really good diverse mix of friends that are in different spaces. But yeah, the gay friends, you know, I don't have loads and loads of gay friends. I have a few. I'm really lucky that I've met a lot through Attitude and that environment and that space. And yeah, I'm lucky in that respect that I do have enough to make me feel loved and wanted and in that space.
And what's dating like as one of Attitude's bachelors?
Oh, that was years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was.
But I saw you put an Instagram post up saying, as one of the Attitude Bachelors of the Year, still single 3 years later, lol, or something. Like, you were commenting on it in like a sort of funny way, saying that, you know, you'd been single and you've been.
Yeah,
sort
I
of
was
bachelor.
single for like 8 years or something, like a long time. It was weird because I'd had my first relationship, which lasted for about 2.5 years. And then, you know, I was naive and young and, you know, I didn't know a lot of stuff. And then suddenly you know a lot of stuff and you get opened out to the gay life and what it's like being a gay man trying to meet people and have relationships and find someone who's faithful and trusting and caring. And that's tough. And then I was single for a long time. And then I met someone else, funnily enough, in Gran Canaria. And then I was single for a long, long time. And I guess I just became cool with that because I think most people, you want to be in a relationship. You want to share your life with someone. And especially for me, I was in such a good space. I would go and be on TV and do a really good show, or I'd go and host an event, or I'd go and do something. And you'd want to go home and go, oh my God, this happened on the show, or this, blah, 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 this. And then you didn't have that. And it bothered me for a long time and really, really affected me. I'd say maybe 6-7 years ago. My mental health was in a really dark place. And I actually went and spoke to someone, funny enough, someone in football. And I kind of went to him as a bit of an emergency because I knew if I didn't speak to someone soon, I wouldn't be around much longer. Oh, that's how dark it was. It was difficult. And I said to him, I'm struggling, like really struggling. You know, if I don't speak to you, I feel like I won't be here this time next week. So, and he was brilliant and amazing and helped me. And then for the first time in my life, I actually spoke to someone and spoke to specialists and spoke to people that could help you and be there to support you. And probably from the age, I don't know, 14 to 34, I would have thought about killing myself pretty much every day, every week, without fail. Like, it was a daily thing.
Oh my God.
And I didn't realize how much of a thing it was until you get towards what you think is the end. And then you go, ooh, like, these thoughts are more regular and things I've done one day something will happen and actually work and I'll really do it, whether I mean to or not. And then I got to a space where I was cool. Like, it's cool to be single. It's okay to be single if you want to be single. And you start realizing that it's not, your life isn't all about being in a relationship. It's not all about work. It's not all about money. It's not all about friends. It's not all about family. Actually, it's kind of a bit of everything. And at no point really in your life do you get everything being where you want it to be. There's always something that's not quite right. And as soon as you start to understand that, and you get mechanisms to deal with when you're having a bad mental health day, stuff becomes better. It's almost like a weight that got lifted off my shoulders, where I was like, stop putting this pressure on yourself. And I put immense pressure on myself, particularly with work, to be successful and to work hard and to achieve things and so on and so forth. And then when you start to achieve them and you realize, oh, okay, I don't have anything to prove to anyone. And maybe there was just this young gay kid that always felt like he had to prove people wrong. I always felt like I had to be something or someone because I was this bullied, pathetic little young lad that was just so traumatized from his upbringing, the way he was treated. I always felt the pressure to turn around to the bullies and go, fuck you, look how good I am, look how successful I am, look how much I've achieved, and look at your pathetic little life, because I've done it. And as I got older and I started to tick off those boxes, I started to not feel that pressure to prove people wrong. And I guess that coincided with me getting older and speaking about my mental health and being in a much better place. And therefore, if being single was not a problem. And then I think that's when, I guess, when you meet someone you least expect it, and then you go, okay, this is cool, and I'm in a much better space. But yeah, I guess, I don't know what, I've kind of gone off on a random tangent there, but the thing that I think people would take away from that answer is speak to someone if you're struggling. That's definitely the best thing I ever did, because there was someone that was there for me, and he was a really important figure in my life, and he totally was right place, right time to help me and pick me up. And being single is cool if you're single, and being with someone is also really fucking cool as well. But don't worry either way, don't get too high or too low with either outcome.
So a lot of what you just said there, firstly, I'm sorry that you went through that. That's such a long period of time as well. You said 16 to 34 that you were in a dark place.
Yeah, 14 to 34, something like that. Yeah.
And a lot of that was tangled in with this feeling of wanting a partner. Is that correct?
I think it was just acceptance.
Acceptance around, like...
Accepting myself.
Right.
Being comfortable in my skin. Being comfortable with who I was and how I looked and how I was treated. And you almost become a bit angry when you get bullied. You become a bit bitter. And you become a bit resentful, because why did I get that treatment? Why did I get treated that way? I was just a nice kid. I didn't deserve that.
Yeah.
So you become that kind of, I guess, resentful, and you kind of almost hate life, and you hate certain things. And I was the same. I really struggled with, who I was and my identity and, how I looked. And because I guess you get put into that space where you think, oh no, I am ugly, I am not very good looking, I am not very good, because you believe what the bullies tell you, you believe what people tell you. And then I almost use that as a bit of a motto for my life. I love it when someone says to me, you can't do that, Mark. And then I'm like, yeah, fucking watch me. Like, you can't be this person, you can't be gay and work in football, you can't be on TV, you can't have a media career, you can't do this, you can't do that. And I love proving people wrong. Like, that's the best. If you want me to fail at something, don't tell me I can't do it, because I'll prove you wrong.
Yeah.
And I think that's the best thing, if you can always be that person that, wants to achieve things and so on and so forth.
I mean, you've achieved such kudos in the sports industry, because your job is extremely hard to get into, and you're rubbing shoulders with people that I'm sure... If you walked into a Wetherspoons, I bet you get mauled. Like, don't you? Like, I'm sure you get straight people coming up to... Well, sorry, let me just correct myself. I'm sure you get people coming up to you all the time going, fucking hell, I fucking love you on TV, like, and all that. Like.
It's weird. It's certain environments, nightclubs, pubs, boozy.
Yeah.
I know, again, we don't say it straight environments.
No, say it.
Like, those environments, obviously football clubs, but yeah, people just want to talk about football.
Yeah.
And it was funny coming on the train here to see you today. I could overhear some people talking about me.
Yeah.
And there was one guy that was saying, "That's the guy of Sky Sports. That's the guy of Sky Sports." And they were looking and they were, "Oh, yeah, he is." They were, and ask him about such and such. Ask him if he's going to be fit for the weekend. And it was like that. They didn't. But I was just on my phone and I could.
But are you really like? Did you have like a high sensitivity to people talking about you?
I have a high sensitivity to people calling me Sky Sports.
Okay, right.
That's the kind of word that you hear, because you walk past someone in the street and then they say to their mate, "Sky Sports, Sky Sports."
Yeah.
Like that becomes the thing. So you're aware of that. But yeah, people just want to talk about football. And then my instant reaction with, "Oh, are you Mark McAdam? Are you off Sky? Are you blah blah blah?" Or they say, "Oh, hi Mark," and how you doing? You okay? And then the first question is, "Who do you support?"
Yeah.
And that's always the quick automatic right. So you'll say, "Oh, I support Southampton," and then you'll go, "Oh, I really like Russell Martin, like the manager. I really like this player. My mate plays for them. Such and such, a great result." So straight away they're like, "Oh my God, he knows stuff about my team," and you build that conversation. So I always just try and be really friendly to these people. And that was something Harry Redknapp always told me. He said, like, just be friendly, be nice to people. And he's the master, by the way. And the amount of times I've been with him, and obviously King of the Jungle, One Arm Celebrity, and someone will say, "Harry, blah, blah, blah," and he'll say, "Hey, you all right, mate?" And I'll say, "Oh, did you know him?" He say, "No." I say, "Oh, hey, but you acted like you knew him." He said, "Yeah, that's the secret. Make people feel like you know them. Make people feel special. This is..." So I've tried to take a little bit of that and just be really friendly to everyone.
Well, some people spend more time looking at you on TV than they do their own partner. You know, my dad sees your face more than he sees my mum.
Oh, I tell him I'm sorry about that.
Yeah, tell her he's sorry.
Yeah, and her.
But I mean, that's just like a full circle, then, isn't it? Because if you said that you had a really terrible time at school, like now you're extremely cool in the eyes of a lot of young people.
Yeah.
So the feelings.
I've never been cool. But
well,
carry on.
You know, like to be called Sky Sports in the street is a lot better than to be called whatever you were called in school.
Yeah.
So I guess like that feeling of achievement must be great for you.
Yeah, it is, because it's an industry, like you touched upon, is really, really difficult to get into and stay in as well. And everyone wants to have your job, and everyone thinks they can do your job better and so on. And sometimes they're like telling you that on social media as well, especially when you get stuff wrong about their club, because football fans can be very vitriolic. And but yeah, if someone had said to a young Mark McAdam when he was 16, starting in the industry and got his first job, you know, you'd be there, you know, 25 odd years later. Try not to give my age away there, but
I'm not gonna ask, don't worry.
Then yeah, you would have been like, yeah, that's cool. But then I sit here now and I go, well, I should have done this, or I should have done this a bit quicker, or I should have been in a better place, or I should be earning more money, or, you know, and so on and so forth. So I think you always want more. I think that's the natural thing for most people. You know, you get your first house and then you want a bigger one, and then you want an even bigger one with more bedrooms and more garden space, and that's the same for me. And I constantly want to achieve more things and do more things. I feel less pressure to do that than I did 10, 15 years ago. And I enjoy doing things a bit more. But yeah, I still like to kind of try and improve and better myself and keep, making a difference, I guess.
Oh, I can't think of a better place to actually end the interview on that.
Oh, really?
I like this high, so I'm going to go.
Okay.
And then leave it there. But yeah, Mark, thank you so much for chatting.
No, my pleasure.